Hello. How are you doing? Happy 2025. Welcome to the first episode of Brazen, coming to you in 2025. And we're going to talk about exactly what you think we'll talk about. The title of today's episode really gave it away. What does it mean to reinvent yourself? What does it mean to become a more authentic version of you? What do you do? Let's go to this angle, babe. What do you do when you look in the mirror one day and you don't know who the fuck is looking back at you? I'm going to take a drink of my IQ coffee here. Not sponsored, but I think you should look into it. IQ coffee is pretty good. I'm going to take a drink of this. Why don't you just sit with that for a second? What are you going to do? Or what have you done? Because that happens. It happens. It happens, especially as women, where one day we walk up to the mirror, and it's not always because things have gotten out of hand in a way that feels overwhelming or bad or sticky or icky or whatever. Sometimes we just walk up to the mirror one day and we're like, whoa, that's not the identity I thought it was. That's not who I thought I was. Again, not necessarily bad or not necessarily heavy, but it's a realization that when it hits, it fucking hits. I've had a lot of different ones. I don't know about you. I've had some that were really heavy where I looked in the mirror and I'm like, who the fuck are you? Not because of behaviors or actions that I was taking, which I'm not saying I'm a fucking perfect angel. Please understand that's not the truth. But like, I just lost myself. I lost myself in a lot of different ways, a lot of different times. I mean, you know my past. I know a little bit about a lot of yours, a lot of you ladies out there listening, but you, the listener, might know a little bit about you. And if we're on the same page, where we had difficult childhoods, teenage years, it makes it's a two-sided coin. It makes it a little bit harder to figure out who the fuck you are. It also makes you really skilled at reinventing yourself, at auditing who you are, who you want to be. I don't know about you, but one of the skill sets that I gained from the harder years in the beginning, and even fucking into my 20s because of the choices I was making, one of the skill sets that I gained is to be able to look at myself and figure out what are my values? What are my goals? Where do I want to be headed? Or do I no longer want to go again? I gained the ability to be really fucking honest with myself. Sometimes a little bit more difficult. Sometimes I was just brutal to myself, like in a loving way. Like, come on, bitch. The fuck are you doing? So before we go into this any further and we talk about what do you do when you get there? What's the next fucking step? What do you do that night when you lay your head down on the pillow after you have that moment and that realization, that invitation? Because that's what it is. It's an invitation. What do you do when you wake up the next morning and you look in the mirror again? What choice do you make in that moment? We're going to talk about this. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. And I also want you to leave this episode. One of my intentions is that you leave this episode with practical steps that you can integrate into your life every single day. Practical fucking things that you can do. Let's make this simple, or let's keep it simple, right? Let's not make it more complex. So I want you to know exactly what you need to do. I want you to feel really confident in doing that, because when you know that you have a toolbox full of tools that you can use, there's a level of confidence that arises. And when you've used those tools before and you're like, oh yeah, I fucking did it really well, confidence grower. So I'm going to ask you to go grab a few things if you can. If you're driving or you're at the gym or you're on a walk or you have like a baby on each hip or whatever, if you can't currently, truly, you cannot grab a notebook and sit down and write things down, just come back to this, please. And just maybe like start thinking out loud. Start fucking talking out loud if you can, because a lot of things will start to connect when you do that. It's really cool how that happens. But this is what I'm going to ask you to go grab if you're able to. First of all, go grab yourself a drink. I have my drink. I chose a warm drink today. Go grab yourself a notebook, and a pen slash pencil. Totally up to you. Do you want to be able to erase if you need to? And I don't know about you, but I like to know how to set up my page if I'm taking notes. Is your brain spicy like that, where you're like, listen, if I'm going to take notes on something, I'm going to need you to know kind of what I'm going to be taking notes about. I got to plan out my page. So I'm going to give you that because that's how my brain ticks. And if yours does it all, hopefully this helps you. We are going to go through 3 steps that will be very helpful for you to take to reinvent yourself. And there's going to be some steps within steps and probably some light bulb moments in there. Okay. And then I have this written down for you. I have 3 practical steps that you can start doing every single day. And I'm going to tell you how that's going to also help change a lot in the future. Okay. And I think as you're pressing pause here, because you're probably going to go grab some stuff, as you're pressing pause, that is, please give yourself a lot of compassion as we go through this and as you start to apply these to your daily life. Please do not strive for perfection. Please strive for like 80-20 at most, my dude, because you're a fucking human being. And if you're always looking for what is quote unquote wrong that you need to fix, you're always going to find something. This is a conversation I had with the women in the Brazen Sisterhood recently. With a brand new year, I put in, hey, like this is the brand new stuff to look forward to. And also just a reminder, this is what we're here to do. And one of the things I popped in there was see what you've done. Don't always be looking for something that you need to fix. Okay. Don't stay on that hamster wheel. So as you're getting your notebook, your pen, your warm drink, just set that intention. You're going to have a lot of compassion for yourself when you're going through this list, because you're going to have some moments where you're going to be like, oh, motherfucker, I felt that one in my soul. And then you're going to have times outside of this where the same thing happens. Okay. You're going to set an intention that you're going to catch yourself maybe with mindset work. And then there's going to be some days where your mindset is in the shitter. You're a human being. That's that 20%. Okay. Okay. So by now you probably have your stuff. Let's talk about it. So I told you in the beginning there a little bit about what's happened to me in these different times. And I think it's important for you to identify one for yourself, whether you're in that moment where you're in reinvention, you're rebuilding, phoenix from the ashes, whatever you have labeled this chapter, this era for yourself. I want you to figure out when's the most recent one? Because we want to look at that woman. We want to look at the woman that you were beforehand, the woman that you're stepping into. It's an identity shift, which you know that, which when you break it down, it's a habits. What are your fucking daily habits? How do you speak to yourself? What's your inner narrative look like? What's your perspective? What do you think is going on in the world? Do you think you're the victim all the fucking time? Or do you think that you can step into your fucking power? You know, there's going to be all these different invitations that's going to step up, pop up for you. And when you look in the mirror and, okay, we're going to cut here and we're going to just continue moving and we're going to edit. So what are the most recent moments for you? Oh, we're going to start again. That moment of asking yourself in the mirror, who are you? The intention behind it, the emotion behind it, the energy behind it. What's going on inside of you when you ask that question? It's important. It's really important because you can see it a lot of different ways. Your perspective can be all over the place here. You could choose to see it as not just an insignificant moment and not the moment where everything toppled or where you felt overwhelmed or where you were like, I have no idea who I am. Oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. You could be like, this is a fucking invitation to shift into a new identity, to shift into a new version of myself, to level the fuck up. Maybe you're trying to live as the old you in an old life, whatever that looks like, and it's way past uncomfortable. Maybe that's because you're not supposed to fucking be there anymore. I don't know. I don't know your story. I don't know all your story. Be. Maybe you've outgrown it. It's okay to outgrow things. That was one of my hardest lessons from my 20s. Oh my gosh. The mourning process of outgrowing certain things mixed with the excitement of the new, it's a whole thing. So by now, you probably have a time in your life, maybe it's right now, like I said, where you have been standing in front of that mirror. You know in your gut it's time to change, it's time to make a change. You can feel it. Hopefully, you haven't already gotten to a space where you're like starting to shame spiral because you're not getting out of the comfort zone, because that can sometimes fucking happen. Hopefully, you're not there yet, but it's okay if you are. Fucking accept it all. That invitation is asking you a few things. It's asking you, are you ready to be who the fuck you said you were going to be? It's asking you to keep promises to yourself. It's asking you to be the most authentic version of yourself, regardless of what people think, regardless of what people say, unless they are people who genuinely know you, love you, support you, care about you, have good intentions. If there's somebody coming to you like that and they're like, hey, I got something to talk to you about, maybe have that conversation. But if that is not the case, who the fuck cares what other people think, my dude? Who cares? Do no harm, take no fucking shit. Okay? That's usually what that moment is asking you for. It's asking you to become the most loving version of yourself, to be able to accept love, healthy love, to be able to show love in a healthy way, to be able to have more pleasure and joy and passion and play in your life. Sometimes it's just simply asking you to be more confident, to believe in yourself more, to take that fucking step that you've been talking about and thinking about and journaling about and all these things to do it. It's an invitation to become more of you. And I know that sounds like a fucking bumper sticker, but it actually is that. And I do know a few people in my life, not very many. I do know a few people in my life who have told me, Heather, I don't know. I think that maybe I'm just good. Like I think I've never had that moment. I don't really think that moment's going to happen for me. And that's a big possibility because I don't know everything. I not at all do I know everything. So maybe, possibly, possibly some people will never have that moment. But I am telling you what, a lot of those people who thought that in the last few years, especially the last like 5 years, they're like, well, son of a bitch. Look who had that moment. It's interesting what can happen when we are given the opportunity to go inward a little bit more, when we're given the opportunity to, whether that opportunity feels like a motherfucker or it feels good. Okay. When you're given the opportunity to look, like I said, at your values, at your goals, it's going to be important as you go through this process to trust that your goals, your truest heart desires. I don't mean the ego. I don't mean I don't even know, whatever your ego shit is. Like, ego's not bad, but for real, like your truest heart desires, for you to trust that those are there for a reason. To trust that when you have these moments that are asking you to be the more confident version of you, to be the more loving version of you, you can trust the goals. What do you have faith in? Where does your faith lie? Has it been shaken, girl? Same. Like, damn. But where do you choose right now to have faith? Maybe your faith has been intact the entire time and you're like, bitch, I know exactly. God, source, universe, the list goes on. You can call it whatever you want. Can you, for a moment right now, have faith that these dreams, these goals, these nudges, your intuitive messages that you're receiving, the nudges you receive there, can you believe that all of this is there for a reason? And then it's there with the best of intentions and you can follow it, you can trust it. Have faith that God, source, universe put it there for a reason. One of the many incredible books that I've read. I'm on the reread for like the fourth time on this one. Highly recommend. Amanda Francis has a book. I don't really follow her too much. I mean, I follow her on Instagram, but I don't really follow her teachings very much. Um, but this book of hers, and she has a journal to go with it, is really good too. It's called Rich as Fuck. Highly recommend. Like I said, I'm reading it for the fourth time now or listening to it on audiobook. And she talks about this. She talks about trusting the pull and the nudges. Because a lot of the times we can be like, oh my gosh, but if I follow this, what if it's not the right path? What if I'm not enough? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I don't know enough? What if I can't? You wouldn't be pulled to it like you are if that was the case. There's a good possibility that what will happen is you're going to have to be patient in getting there because you have to become the person who can have that. And that's part of the learning how to love more, love yourself more, how to receive love, how to be more confident, how to do the mindset work. Like that, those are the steps to get to the thing that you want, the thing that you desire, the goal. And it's a really interesting, and I personally, personal belief, I think it's the best way to look at it because I did not always look at it that way. There is a pretty significant amount of my life where I did not, in fact. I was like, who the fuck do I think I am? Who the fuck do I think I am to be dreaming of being this woman and making this impact and doing these things and building this empire and fucking doing it from scratch? Just like, okay, let's figure it out. Tim the Toolman style, Tim the Toolman Taylor, there we go, style. Just like fucking, I'm gonna figure it out. Reverse engineering a fucking empire. Who the fuck do I think I am? I felt that way when I started going on the road trips. I felt that way so many times. It's really easy to believe that you're not good enough. It's really easy to believe that I don't know, what was it for you? Was it a parent? Was it a kid at school? Was it a teacher? What was it that made you feel a little bit bullied or a little bit inferior or a little bit unsure or a little like what was the feeling and what was the experience? You're a human being. We all have one. Maybe now is a time to dump that evidence out of your evidence bucket because you have one, just like all of us. Maybe it's time to dump that evidence out, dump that proof that you collected years ago or when the fuck ever it was, and say, you know what, I'm going to start looking for proof of something else now. That evidence wasn't really holding up. You can choose to start collecting evidence of all these small wins that are getting you to your goals. You can choose to start collecting evidence. Oh my gosh, I can trust where I'm going and how I'm doing it, and I can trust myself, and I am capable. All these little wins, but if you're not celebrating any of those little motherfucking wins, then you're probably not going to believe it very easily. That's going to be hard evidence to collect. So let's get into the steps. I wanted to open you up a little bit first. You got to talk about this shit before you get into what to do about it, right? So that version of you that you were focused on, that time in your life, that experience, can you write down, if you haven't already, who were you then? Who were you? And I'm going to dare you to only focus on the skills you learned, the lessons you learned, the things you really loved about yourself at the time. I'm going to fucking dare you to do that. I don't know if that dare is going to be easy or hard for you. That's on you. But only focus on the good intentionally. So press pause now if you need to. I think you should. So that way you can really get into this because the more that you infuse this work with a little bit of emotion, the bigger the transformation, my dear. I can promise you that. So we know now the really great parts and pieces and skills and all of it of this woman that you were. the last time that you stood in front of a mirror and you were like, fuck, right? Can you write down for me now, too? Who's like the new woman? Either the woman that you have become since then, or the woman, maybe you're in the middle of it again, and it's the woman you're going to become. But can we get really clear on, can we call them 1.0 and 2.0? Does that make sense to you? 1.0 version and 2.0 version. Can you write down same thing, skill sets, really good pieces of that version of you, things you're really proud of, things that you're going to kind of celebrate and brag on yourself about? You know how many women I hear, I don't want to celebrate, I don't want to brag. Okay, I've lived that way. I don't know about you, but I have a family that I feel like not a whole lot of celebrating happens. And that's okay. I found other people to celebrate with. If you're that way at all, I'm going to highly recommend that you just find your people. Your people want you to celebrate. Your people want you to succeed. Okay? Sometimes your family members, certain family members just can't step up to the occasion. And that's fucking okay, my dude. That's their life. That ain't yours. So find your people. Fucking celebrate. What are the things you're celebrating about this 2.0 version of you? Okay. You got this down? Again, press pause if you need to, because we're about to get into the meat and the potatoes. Can I give you some pro tips? Can you make a little area for pro tips if you need to, if you want to? On your journey of figuring out reinventing yourself, it'll help to have like a fucking playlist. Personal belief. Get yourself a playlist. Make yourself a playlist. Don't make it full of a bunch of sad songs. Those have a time and place. But maybe don't fill up the playlist that's going to be inspirational for you to step into this new identity full of sad, right? We usually cry those type of tears before we have this big change. So let's focus on the big change, okay? I'll tell you, there's been a lot of playlists that I've used. I've told you before, part of my life where I went through, losing my mother, not really having, not losing her due to her not being alive anymore, but losing that relationship because I chose to have to end it. It was just getting way past out of hand, and unhealthy and unsafe. I also at that time got a divorce, which meant I no longer had contact with the children that I had raised for many, many years. I lost a lot of people in my life I was doing a lot of grieving around people I thought were my friends and people that I thought knew me and loved me that were saying really awful things about me online, which I chose to just like stay quiet on because I was like, you can dig your own motherfucking hole. I'm good. It's a lot of mourning. And if you've ever been through anything like that or any of those things, you know that there's gonna be songs. You're gonna have songs that you sing at your windshield and that they mean something and they turn something on inside of you and they help you heal. They help you reimagine what life can be. So there is a place, like I said, for those songs. And there's also been playlists that I've had. Um, the sad songs, also, P.S., it was a lot of Miranda Lambert. It wasn't like just sad songs. It was just like I'm about to fucking wear my boots and I mean I did. I was wearing my cowboy boots and my fucking white wife beaters and my ripped up jeans around everywhere. It was in full character. It was a good time, man. It was a good part of my life. But like I said, there's other times where more recently, about 4 years ago, I went through a big shift and the playlist, I can give it to you if you want it. It's called Divine Badass. And it was music that I had listened to a little bit here and there, but never like really sunk into as much as I did at that time. And it became these anthems. And some of the songs themselves are just really catchy, upbeat affirmations that are being sang over and over again. And to sing along with those in the mirror changed my life. To listen to some of those songs that talk about loving your body and loving your body, especially if you've had any like big T trauma, it changed my life. And those songs became the playlist to this unraveling and this rebuilding. So a pro tip, have a playlist, create a playlist. with intention. Another pro tip is drive on some fucking country roads. Son of a bitch. Do you realize the best medicine sometimes, and I'm sure you already know this, the best medicine sometimes is just to go on a fucking old dirt road and roll your windows down if you can. I mean, right now it's January, so maybe not, but roll your windows down and listen to that playlist and sing the songs and feel the emotion and cry and laugh and fucking feel shit. Just feel. And if you are feeling all the good shit, fucking start calling in the life you want. Start talking out loud. Do you realize how many times when I was on road trips, or even not when I was on road trips, that I would have one-on-ones with the sky, with God, source, universe, and just be like, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is where I'm going. This is what's going to happen. And I trust you. And I trust, like, just over and over while I'm driving down a fucking old dirt road. It's medicine. I promise. I'm not a physician, but meditation also highly recommend that you start doing more meditation. And if it's uncomfortable or difficult to do meditation, I hear you, babe. Heard. That's kind of the point of the meditation then, is to be able to sit with yourself, regardless of the other things. Also, I think maybe some shadow work. Always consider shadow work, inner child work, inner teenager work. It changed my life and continues to change my life. Couldn't recommend that more. Also, learn how to shift your mindset. I have this written down for you as well. Learn how to actually shift your mindset, what really fucking works for you, and let that evolve. Figure out these tools for your toolbox and use them. And then also body work. Please don't forget about your body. Whether it's somatic yoga or somatic massage. If you need some ladies' numbers, I can refer you to a lot of awesome chicks. Get your body work done. Reconnect with it. Maybe go shake your ass and move your ass a little bit. Okay. All right, let's get to it. Number one, how to reinvent yourself, how to transform, how to rise. Use whatever word. You got to release your old bullshit stories. I know. I love you. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee, my IQ coffee, while you sit with that, because it's a stinger. Also, this IQ coffee is like, it's you. You mean I make my own like mushroom powder with cacao and all that stuff. I've been doing that for quite a while, many years, and I just keep letting the recipe evolve because that's how it came to be, anyways. But then I found this IQ coffee, and it has like magnesium and mushroom powder and everything, and it comes in like vanilla spice and hazelnut, and I was like, okay. It's really good. If you want it, just look it up. You can find it. If you want it and you're like, Heather, I want you to make some money off this. I'll make like $1.20 off it at most. If that's what you're into, just send me a message and I'll send you my affiliate link. I would love that. That'd be cool. But for real, check it out if you're into that type of stuff. Okay. Release your old stories. What's the old story that you're going to release? Let's just look at it. What else are you doing? Let's just look at it. What's the old story? It's okay. Accept it. Accept who you were. Forgive it. It's going to take time to do both those. And you could probably work with someone, whether it's a therapist or a coach or a healer, work with somebody, have a team in place. I recommend all of them. It's going to be a little bit hard sometimes to look at these stories. Figure it out. What's the story you're done with? What are you ready to set down like fucking luggage that you've been just dragging around with you? Repeating with your words and your behaviors and the way you view the world. You can't bring the old into the new, babe. If you're stepping into a new version of yourself and you're reinventing yourself, you can't bring the old shit because then you're going to stay in the old life. Guaranteed. You have to make a decision to leave the parts of you that are no longer benefiting you, the fear, the story. Let me change my choker is spun around. You can see the boob. There we go. To decide to leave this stuff in the past, to no longer let it dictate your behaviors, your actions, your words, what you choose to do, the fear that you have, the limit. Hold on, I'm having one of those days. Limiting beliefs. You have to decide that it's not worth repeating anymore in your heart and in your mind. And I am telling you right now, as a woman who has released stories that felt like my heart was fucking breaking in pieces many and many, many times, it's fucking worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it to look at this shit and get it out of your heart and get it out of your head. What is it? What unfair, what difficult, what pain? There's something. Fucking look at it, talk about it, feel it, process it. I changed my whole life when I chose to do this, but especially when I chose to do it deeper. And I'm going to dare you to do the same. Because I know what can happen. I not only know because of personal experience many times over, but also because I teach this now. I teach women how to do this. I walk with them. I guide them through all mind, body, and soul work. And I am telling you, if you can do this, if you can list out your old fucking stories, the old pain, the old resentment, old fear, old versions of who you are and what the world is, when you can release this shit, you make a lot of space. And then that space is where all the newness goes. But first, you have to be willing to let the old shit go. Is it really that important to keep around anymore? A lot of the times, this can be female wounds for a lot of women for a lot of reasons. That's going to be one of them is old female wounds. Mine was for sure on like 14 different levels. I'm going to tell you again, if it's a female wound, was it mommy? Was it sister? Was it cousin? Was it boss? Was it wife? Was it girlfriend? What was it? Who was the woman in your life that you feel did you wrong? Did you dirty? Fucked around and then you found out. It's going to be worth looking at that and setting it down. And I just want to remind you as I'm going through this, that, again, this is if you're like, Heather, yeah, I fucking know. I'm aware. I just don't know how. What steps do I take? Give me the 1, 2, 3s. That is what I do. And there's so many levels. I'm just going to stop you right now. Put your pen down. Just hang out for a second. There's so many levels. Do you want to do this where we just touch base a little bit, like maybe once a month? I have that for you. Boom, done. Do you want to do something where every week we're on a live call together and you're learning more and you're applying more and we're celebrating on the side and we're messaging and we're talking to each other? I got that. Do you want to just like passively be doing this and like come in and go as you please and watch the videos at your own pace? I got that. I have made it all because I also need it all and have needed it all. Not all the time do I want to be having weekly calls with somebody. Absolutely no, thank you. I got other shit I am doing right now. That is not my vibe right now. There are times when I want to be so connected to a coach. It's like you're fucking plugging into them, you know? And you're like, all right, we're doing this together. Thelma and Louise style, motherfucker. Let's go. I created all of it because I know there's a need and a want. So tell me, send me a message. Okay. Go on Instagram, not on TikTok. Send me a message on Instagram. Okay, number 2, because number 1 was release old stories. Number 2 is reconnect with your inner truth. I'm going to say this with love and directness as always. Maybe I'm the big sister that you always wanted, or maybe I'm the coach that you've been looking for, or whatever the fucking vibe is. That's what I'm bringing to you when I say this. You have got to stop with the people-pleasing shit. I love you. You've got to stop. You deserve to stop. You know you deserve to stop. How many people have you tried to please other than yourself, and for how long? And where has that gotten you? I'm hugging you right now. I'm hugging you and high-fiving you. We'll go do a rage release later. You've got to stop living for others. I had, not had, have. I have a one-on-one client right now. I love her so much. I'm so excited her and I are going to be doing continued support after the one-on-one program. We've been working together for about 6 months and we're going to spend another 6 months together while she's integrating everything she's learned. And I'm really fucking stoked about it. But she said to me, Her therapist said to her, because she has two kids, and her therapist said to her, the best thing you can do for your kids and their well-being, I'm paraphrasing, is to be good to yourself, to put yourself first, to make yourself a priority. And I was like, yeah, agreed. You can find a personal balance, but if your cup is always motherfucking empty, what are you going to do with that? Other than feel like shit, complain, feel overwhelmed, feel confused, unorganized, resentful. Do you see? I know, I've lived there. You know, it's annoying because you're like, I'm just trying. I'm trying to just make it work. And then you realize, oh, I was trying to make it work in a way that was literally never going to make it work. Yeah. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Just by simply being myself and not being apologetic about it anymore, by simply being like, yeah, I have a fucking podcast. Yeah, I wear fucking lipstick all the time. Yeah, I love my tattoos, and this is how I look, and this is how I speak, and this is how I teach, and this is what just doing that. Do you know how many people I have repelled? So many. I just me being me pisses off a lot of people. Good. And that's the attitude that I hope that you fucking adopt today. Good. Because when you are you from your heart, again, not all ego, okay? Ego's not bad, but like maybe from your fucking heart. When you are you, when you live authentically from your heart, you are going to repel the people that were never your people to begin with. And then guess what? Again, you made space. So now you're going to magnetize the people to you that are your people. The motherfuckers that are ride or die. The motherfuckers that are Thelma and Louise. Those bitches that no matter what, they've got you. And dudes. We all know. I have my dude groups. I don't have my dudes as much anymore since I've been moving around everywhere, obviously. But you're going to find your people. It's going to be a lot easier to find the people that are meant for you, the tribes that are meant for you, the communities that are meant for you if you're being you. And that's scary shit to go from people pleasing and all the work that has to do with ending that, that fucking book, and then go into just authentically living your fucking truth. Not to sound like another bumper sticker, but okay. So really just being like, this is me. Boom, I'm there. That's so much work. But it's so fucking worth it, dude. There are stages, there are layers. It's like a fucking onion, and it is worth it. You got to start reconnecting with who you really fucking are, the authentic truths, the values. You got to stop trying to live for everybody else and stop trying to please everybody else. Start studying yourself. What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you like and dislike in the bedroom? What do you like and dislike for food? When you meditate, how does it feel? When you exercise, how do you feel? How do you get motivated? How do you inspire yourself? How do you stay dedicated? You have to figure out you. And that's hard work to turn inward and do that and to stick with it and stay consistent with it and to not run away and to not avoid and to not push it down. So, you know what I want to say here? Get it on fucking paper. If you have resistance to journaling, that's the one fucking thing. And it's not just journaling. Whatever you have resistance to that you know for a fact would help you, but you're like, no. That was me with journaling. And that was also a little bit me with meditation. Mostly because I was fucking scared as fuck about sitting with myself and all of those thoughts, the thousands of thoughts. They just never stopped. It was forever and always. And as soon as I started journaling and meditating, bam, everything changed. And continues to change. So get it on paper. Start writing stuff down. If you want to know how, come here. Let's do it. Okay. Number 3, we have number 1 was release old stories. Number 2, reconnect with your inner truth, your inner self, who you really fucking are. Number 3, create some daily habits that are aligned with who you want to be, please? Because you are your habits. I don't care what book from what successful person you read. They're all right, probably, if they're successful and they're actually living a successful life, which most of them are. And they're all going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. You are your habits. And I'm going to take you a little bit deeper here. You are your intentional habits and your autopilot habits. Because there's a difference. There's shit that you do on autopilot that you're like, why the fuck do I do that? What is it? Something that you say, something that you do, something that you don't do, that you don't say? You have habits that you probably could do some habit stacking with, and it would change your life. Just something that you always do every day on autopilot. Maybe something that's good. Maybe like brushing your teeth. You could take that and you can be like, this is something I do every single day. Or what the fuck ever. You pee every day. Use that. And you could just pop a little habit on there. A habit that is a small one. Don't make it huge. Small. Celebrate that. Do another small. Celebrate that. Do another one. Right? Don't try to eat the whole motherfucking elephant. If you look at your autopilot habits, evaluate them. Does some of them need to fucking go? Are some of them great to keep? Can we habit stack with some of them? What can we tweak and move? And then you start to look at your intentional habits and you start to celebrate those more and you start to work with those, evaluate those, and you give yourself room to be a motherfucking human. I had a client one time that felt the same way that I did on my journey, especially fucking A, after the most recent spiritual awakening, because my gosh, if you're on the same page as me at all, these spiritual awakenings rock your shit. Ugh. Um, I got done with that one. Well, done, like you could fucking get done with them. Like I got through that portion. I was like, I don't think I should have any more alcohol ever again. I don't think I'm about to say something that's controversial. I don't think I should ever have an American Spirit cigarette after I have a margarita with my girlfriends ever again because that makes me a bad person. I don't think I should ever smoke marijuana again because I'm a bad person if I do. I'm not spiritual if I do. Do you? No, no. I went there. I lived there. This client was there. Same place, maybe less dramatic. I was doing that for dramatic effect. Or actually, that's just kind of how I live. It's just who I am. Anyways, I digress. She was there. She was living in that space. And we had to have a talk about it. We had to be like, dude, you can be a human. You're here to be a human. Just be intentional with the shit that you do. Make sure that it aligns with your values. Make sure that your habits align with your values and your goals, who you want to be. And also, I'm just going to say this if you're witchy, which if you're listening to this, you probably are, or you probably want to be, but you're in the closet, and that's okay. I love you. It's okay. You'll come out soon. You'll be like, hey, I'm a little witch. And I'm like, I know you are. We all are. That's what somebody did to me. That's what a lot of people did to me. They're like, oh, you'll you'll say it soon. You'll say it in your own time. So to all my witchy women out there, if you just start seeing your habits as rituals, you make them a little bit more sacred. Not all of them. My goodness gracious, don't go that hard. Okay. But just like take some of the shit that doesn't really feel fun. There's a girl, a woman, whatever. I say girl all the time. There's a chick on Instagram. I think her name's Molly, pretty sure. Like mundane something. Like she takes mundane tasks and she makes them magical. She's one of my favorite humans on the internet, but I can never remember names. I remember her face. Go check her out. Start to make things in your life more magical. Start to have more fun in your life. Start to shake your fucking ass more. When I tell you to make things sacred, that doesn't mean that you have to be like, I don't know. The first thing that comes to my mind, not really, I guess, anymore, but when I first started doing this work was like, because I went to a Catholic church as a child, hence the religious trauma. I went to this church and there are good things that came from it, but just not many. And one of the things that came to mind when I thought of being sacred in these moments was like, I had to be quiet and I had to be a good girl. And what if I do it wrong? If you in any way, shape, or form feel that way, which you probably do because every woman I think I've ever spoke to has something in there, you're not going to do it wrong. There's no way for you to do it wrong unless you just don't believe what you're doing, or maybe you're going back and forth and you're wishy-washy. Just make the decision and be like, this is what I'm going to do because this is what my heart wants to do. And I trust myself. Maybe that just means that you light a fucking candle before you do a habit or create a ritual or a ceremony out of it, right? Maybe before you make your bed, you cleanse the space a certain way. Like it can be, and honestly, not to should you to death, but it should be personal. Make it personal. It shouldn't be some shit that I do unless you really like it and you want to apply it to your life. It should be something that you create, right? It should be something that you see or you hear about and you kind of like evolve it, or something that just comes up for you and you're like, oh, what an incredible way for me to do this intuitive push, this knowing I have. Whatever it is. Don't don't do something unless it actually feels good, because that's the point of it, is for it to be really sacred to you. Okay? All right, so just a little bit more time here. Let's go through these. 1, 2, 3. Number 1, release your old stories. Drop the old shit. I love you. Fucking drop it off at the door. And if you want help dropping it off the door, again, that's literally what I do. Just come here. Number 2, start reconnecting with who you really are, with your inner truth, with your values, with your authentic self, whatever word you want to use there. Figure out who that is. Take the steps to do it. It feels like a big old task when you are like, figure out who I am. It sounded like 1920s, 30s Mickey Mouse or something just then. Anyways, but like, that's how it can feel. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so big. Then break it down into steps. And if you need help breaking it down into steps and figuring out how to stay consistent with those and how to celebrate each time, again, come here and let me know. And number 3, create daily habits and rituals that are aligned with who you are. And actually, not even just who you are, who you want to be. Shift into who you want to be, if that's where you are with the reinventing, which probably, and shift these habits and rituals if you need to tweak them to be more aligned with the goals that you have. If you're not reaching your goals, if you're actively trying to reach goals, or actively doing the work, I should say, to reach goals, and you're not reaching them, evaluate the habits, evaluate the shit that you're doing every single day and the words that you say. Okay? So I got a little bit more time. I'm going to give you some easy peasy lemon squeezy steps. So there's 3 steps here if you're going to set up your page. I'm going to give you these steps, these kind of categories of life. And within each of those is going to be just some practical application, some shit to actually live what you learn. So first step here to look at, first area, is awareness and accountability. This is something that you can start to integrate into your daily life. So choose one, choose the other, choose both. I don't care. You do you, boo-boo. But choose something. This is where you can start to look at your energetics, how you behave, your words, how you respond to life, how you react to life. Like all these things, you can start to become more aware of these moments. And if you are in a space where it's time to, you can start to become even more accountable, which you probably are there, honestly. I think that's like a forever thing for all of us, just like consistently becoming more accountable in those spaces. So what can you do? There's 2 things I wanted to point out here, because when you're looking at all of this, you're also, like I said, you're looking at your energetics. So number 1 would be a great place to start, would be to look at where is kind of leaking energy in your life. And what I mean by that, I truly do mean energy, but let's make it a little bit more practical. What I mean by that is, where in your life are you saying yes when you mean no? Where in your life are you surrounding yourself with people that make you feel like just like the most zapped and uncomfortable? That's an energy leak, bruh. Don't do that to yourself. Okay. Another energy leak. Where are you? Oh, I'm going to say on purpose. I say this with love. Where are you on purpose, not organized, even though you know that being organized is what helps you stay in that flow state and stay active? So basically, where are these habits kind of a self-sabotaging thing? Or where is the energy leaking? Take a look at that. Evaluate it and be like, okay, well, now I know. what to move where. And another thing here for the awareness and the accountability is to start doing the rewiring steps. And then it doesn't have to be the rewiring steps that I teach. Hold on, I'm going to have a little burpee. Excuse me, that's not getting edited out, by the way. Not at all. Excuse me, pardon me. These rewire steps, you don't have to do the ones that I teach because they're all the same. But the thing with this work is you're really just looking for somebody that when they teach and when they say it, it hits your soul and it does something to you. So if the way that I teach and the way that I speak, same information that a lot of people are out here trying to help others with, if you like the way I do it, then try the rewire steps that I have. And again, number one, acknowledge, identify what is the thought that keeps popping up or the memory, even, right? Belief. Number two, start to question it. And there's a lot of different ways you can question it. And the questioning part is one of the most important parts because that's where you really get down to business. Number three, replace it. What do you actually want to think? What do you actually want to feel? What belief do you really want? Number four, move your fucking body. Move it out of your body. Shake your ass. Dance. Do something. There's a trend right now from Grey's Anatomy. How you know how they like dance it out? That's like a trend now, which I couldn't be more on board with. Move your fucking body more, especially during the times of uncomfortability or when you're doing the rewire work. So number one, identify or acknowledge. Number two, question. Number three, replace. Number four, move your body. That's how you can do the rewiring steps. If you want more info, come here. Number two, this area is about your vision and about intention setting, right? So you can always do more work here. This is always a place that you can play, just like the awareness and accountability I said before is always a place you can play and do some work in. So when it comes to your vision, it's going to be really important to not only define the life that you want, but also to define who you will be then, the identity. So there's a lot of moving parts in your life, right? And in order for you to achieve certain things in your life, I'm sure you had to learn certain skill sets or you had to shift into certain mindsets. It's going to be kind of the same thing. You're going to be noticing that when you're figuring out not only your vision, but also who it is that you're going to be at that time, that person's going to have more skill sets. That person's probably going to have maybe, what is it, more confidence. Maybe they're open to receive more. Maybe they're not scared of being heard or being seen or what all the other most common things that people feel, right? This future version of you that's going to be living in this life that your goals and the dream life that you're building, they're going to have a little bit more work than they've done that they have done. There we go. So identify that and then start looking for the opportunities in your life to enhance it right then and there. There's going to be opportunities that are going to show up where you can build your confidence, where you can build your courage, where you can work on the being heard or being seen or whatever it is. But you have to figure out who that dream person is. You also might want to just have fun with it and be like, what does this person wear? What does their hair look like? What is their style? And start dressing as that version. That's one of my favorite ways to get clients to immediately shift into the new version of themselves is to start fucking at least one daily habit and start looking like them. Figure out what that dream life, dream version of you looks like. Fucking put that shit into action right now. And then pick one habit every day that you're just going to do. Don't fucking change it all the time. Just stick with one and be consistent. So pick a habit every day that you're going to do. Maybe the new version of you doesn't like to be cranky as fuck in the afternoons with her hormones going everywhere. So she's like, I'm going to drink water and have some protein before coffee. So I'm not a fucking monster by 3, right? Or that's just me sharing experience there. If it's anything like that, simple habit, just something simple. Maybe you, while you brush your teeth, you do some squats, like whatever your goal is. Maybe you read for 10 minutes at night, just a small habit that you can start putting into place. So those are some practical applications that you can do. And I also want to recommend that you write this future version of you a letter. And does that sound somewhat childish? I don't fucking know. I have heard from clients it does a little bit. They're like, this sounds so silly. This sounds like it's not going to work. Why is this part of like my commitment and my homework this week? Because it works. because it works. Because there is something that happens when you actually sit down and you do the things necessary to create change. You have an experience that is emotionally charged. When you sit down and you do that consistently, you're writing this letter and you fucking keep your ass planted and you just do it and you power through the I don't want tos and you power through the this probably won't work and you stick to it, you're going to start getting emotional. You're going to start crying and laughing. It's going to get charged. And when you're doing that, then things start to flow out of you more and more. You can probably already feel it in your heart space at this point. If we're being honest, that's what it's going to feel like. You're going to just feel this build and build and build. And before you know it, you're writing 4 or 5 pages. And you have just spilled all of this. You have come to realizations. You've had light bulb moments. You've done some healing. You've set your space in a way where you're like, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly the next step. Like all of these things can happen. And you are connecting with that future version of you. You are connecting with the version of you that you must become in order to receive the life you want. It works. The only way it doesn't work is if you don't do it. That's it. That's all. Okay? So, last one. Let me just put up 3 fingers in my. I'm not used to fingernails. I got these. I used to have fingernails all the fucking time. Now I only get them for like special events or special times, and I got them for the holidays. They're like spiky little red ones. If you can't see, if you're not watching, I just went to go put up 3 fingers, and I damn near like flung the pinky nail off. Anyways, number 3, the final one, aligned action. Start taking more action. And I say that with love. I'm slapping your ass when I do this. Go get them. Go do something. Stop talking about it. Stop even journaling about it. Like journal about it, but stop journaling about it but at a certain point that is, and start doing it. Go do it. Go take a step towards it. Without a shadow of a doubt, the number one hurdle that I have helped clients with the most in the last, we'll say 6 months, 7 months, since last June. Since the summer solstice, I have been helping women take action because they're like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Okay, well, what are you not taking action on? What are you perceiving to be too hard, too big? You're not enough. You don't know the first step. It's silly to even try. Like, what the fuck is it? What's the thing that you know would change your life? You know that doing it would make you happy, all these things, but you're just not doing it. The resistance is there and you have the excuses. I say with love because same, we all do. You have the excuses for the reasons you're not taking the action. Let's push those aside. What's the action? Stop waiting for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. I highly recommend that you line your own personal ducks up. But in order to do that, you got to get clear, fucking write them down. What are the steps that you need to take before you make the jump to make yourself feel really good? Because you got to feel as safe as possible. You're never going to feel fully ready and fully safe. I mean, you might sometimes, depending on who you are and what you're doing. But you got to stop waiting for the right time. The right time is created when you make that decision and you know the decision. The decision is the same one that happens when you're in front of the mirror and you're like, who the fuck am I? It's time to reinvent myself. It's time to become more of me. It's time to peel back the layers of who I'm not. That's the right time. When you have that feeling, when you know the feeling is upon you, when you know it's coming up, you can feel it. You think about it, you know it. You're like, one of these days, I'm just going to fucking feel it. Stop waiting. You will never regret going after what you want. You're always going to choose the right path. As long as you're taking a second to just check in with yourself, and even if you're fucking not, but truly just check in with yourself, figure it out, work with someone to help you get there. There's a reason why the most successful people in whatever version of their success they're aiming for work with mentors, coaches, and teachers, including myself. It gets you there quicker and easier. It feels better. It's just overall a very fucking valuable experience. And if you're not taking action, I recommend you start working with someone. Again, doesn't have to be me. It'd be cool if it was, but I highly recommend that you get some support and some guidance to take these action steps, dude. Because it doesn't feel good to know that the reason that you haven't met your goal is because you're not taking action and you know it. That's a shitty ass feeling. That's a nope. I have felt it. It feels awful. That is a shame spiral. Yuck. Gross. Practical application. Our last one for aligned action, inspired action. Stop waiting for the right time. I'm going to dare you to dare yourself. Go stand in front of the mirror and dare yourself. One big leap a month. You get to choose what big is. Don't be fucking stingy. One big leap a month and one small step a week. And they don't, if that's overwhelming right now, send me a message and let me help you because no, we need to personalize this like everything so it fits you, so it works for you. But I'm going to dare you figure out your vision, do all this stuff. You know what you need to do. And then write it down on a calendar. Put it on a calendar. You and I both know once you write it on a calendar, it's locked in. It is there. It is happening. You know that. I know that. So take one big leap a month. I don't mean like the big leap. I don't mean the biggest one, but take a big leap. Okay. So again, your practical applications, rewire steps. Let me know if you need help with that. Number 2 for awareness and accountability is start to look at what is draining your energy and evaluate that and start to make some changes. The second category is vision and intention setting. Take a look in this area of your life, and a practical application that you can do here is write yourself a letter, write your future self a letter and really fucking get into it. And the third category to take a look at is the inspired action that you're taking in your life, the action overall that you're taking in your life. And a practical application here for you is to dare yourself to commit to one leap a month and one step a week. Okay? I love you so much. Happy 2025. You're going into this a brand new human being, the best version of yourself that you've ever been. And you and I both know that. And it's only going to get better from here. So thank you for letting me hang out with you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me be your tough love coach who gives you a big old hug and a squeeze while I tell you to fucking get to it. Get in action. I appreciate you being here so much. The only reason I'm here is because you're here. So here's to us, whatever your drink of choice is. Cheers, my dear. Cheers to 2025. Cheers to all of us. Anybody you can think of and then some, thriving, having the most beautiful experiences, happy, healthy, wealthy, fulfilled. Cheers, my dear. Go do something nice for yourself and go do something nice for others. See you later.